So we are talking about fixing TF2's terrible weapons. Since when is the Hulong heater bad? The kunai is... What does he mean by terrible? It's terrible in that it's underpowered, overpowered. What does he mean? I want to know what his definition is. Is he going to tell us? I guess we'll find out. Yeah, a lot of people were upset with this video. Shall we begin?
For example, the Natasha is not even a very good weapon, but people still use it for the sheer psychological damage it deals when you have to fight against this thing. It slows down anybody you hit with it, which is really frustrating to play against, so I changed it so that instead of slowing down your enemies, it speeds you up.
So that's the same balance change that High GPS did on his balance servers, and frankly I agree with this one. It is not fun to be slowed down by hit scan. That's just my opinion on it. Does it make the Natasha overpowered? No. In fact, it's objectively the weakest of the miniguns simply because the damage output is so pitiful. And also by the fact that you can just spam strafe and the slow effect is undone. It is a nice idea to reward the heavy for hitting his shots instead of bringing other players down to the level of the user. That's a more fair way of balancing the weapon. So, I agree with this one to start.
Heavy's walk speed while revved up with the Natasha is now the same as his normal walk speed. However, he still can't jump or switch weapons quickly, so there is still some incentive to not be revved up all the time. And Heavy is still the slowest class in the game, so he's not going to be chasing you down with this thing, don't worry.
Yeah, so out of all of High GPS's balance changes, this is probably one of the best ones he had on his balance mod server, was basically the same thing.
But he will be a monster with good positioning. And good positioning is what Heavy is all about. Buffed. Continuing with the Heavy, we've got the Brass Beast, which I think is pretty underrated.
I think the Brass Beast is fine. That's just me, but let's see what he says.
Yeah, it sucks being super slow to rev up and move, but that extra 20% damage is really nothing to sneeze at. This weapon is great when you're already revved up, but since it takes so long to rev up, it makes repositioning pretty dangerous. If you need
I would consider that a fair downside. If you're able just to completely shred people with the insane damage output, you really need to rely on positioning more and wait for people to come to you. Forces the Heavy to play a lot more defensively, and you can't be as aggressive. That doesn't make it bad. So, see what he says.
Some ammo or a health pack, you better have a shotgun handy because the Brass Beast is just too slow to protect you while you're walking from point A to point B. To help with
that's just the kind of a thing with Heavy in general, so I don't know.
I simply doubled the minigun's ammo capacity. The weapon that makes it hard to reposition safely now gives you some extra time before you need to reposition. Buffed.
What? Like, I'm not offended by it, but that doesn't really change anything? I find that... I guess it's overkill? He never has to move, but... I don't know how to feel about that one at all. It just turns you into an actual sentry. I mean, the thing is, it doesn't change the play style at all with the weapon. You still have to play more conservatively, you still have to play more defensively. The idea is to have more players come to you, so you have to make sure you're already revved up and in a good position, or, you know, really heavily rely on jump revving as you're moving around a corner, which does work rather well with this weapon. But I feel like doubling the ammo is kind of pointless. I don't think it would change anything. Like, and here's the thing, right? If it lets you stand still for that, like, if you manage to chew through all 400 ammo without moving, the team you're playing against is really bad. If they can't manage to kill the Heavy that's been standing still for that long, firing in the same position, you're just playing against a bad team. It doesn't really buff the weapon at all. So, I think it's useless. And personally, I don't think the Brass Beast needs a change. I think it's totally fine. I think it's painfully underrated, and I use it quite often. So,
For the final minigun change, the Huo Long Heater.
So the Hulong heater is also totally fucking fine. I love this weapon. More people need to use it because this one encourages players to be super aggressive. Get in people's faces and exploit tiny bits of high ground. It is so, like, people really underestimate the damage the fire ring has. It's so good. Also, the DPS on the Hulong Heater is the same when is actually higher than the Brass Beast if you're shooting someone getting hit by your fire ring, and with the damage buff it gets against burning players, and it's almost the same as the Brass Beast if you're shooting someone that's on fire. I fucking love this minigun to death. I actually I think I use this one the most these days out of all of them because it's I think it's great. The people are saying his recommended change is really bad. Is it bad?
Personally love the concept of this weapon, but let's face it, it's flat out useless. The Rings of Fire are a great gimmick.
That's just wrong.
But losing 4 ammo a second to produce them is a mighty price to pay.
Not really. It forces the heavy to reposition more often, but that's really that's a proper downside to the weapon.
And it doesn't end up being worth it 95% of the time. It only does 12.5% more damage to burning players,
which is a lot, especially with ramp up. That adds up. Sure, at long range it only amounts to 1 more damage per tick, but it's still really strong.
And they're usually only...
Oh, turn captions on? Yes, sorry, I can do that.
...burning if they're already up in your face, which means that any minigun would really tear them apart anyways. At mid-range, the damage bonus is nice, but it's not worth coordinating with your team's Pyro just for that 12.5% more damage.
Run it if you have a Pyro on your team, and then don't run it when you don't. Or just be more aggressive and put that fire ring to use. It's also good to play defensively and have people walk into you, because I think the fire ring does like 6 damage per tick and induces full afterburn if someone just grazes it. It's really strong. And in a game that's based off of close quarters combat, it's very good.
I think this weapon should really encourage the heavy to link up with a friendly Pyro for a crazy 2-man team, but in its current state, it just doesn't do that. It's too normal. It feels like a normal minigun with less ammo. It's a little less damage most of the time and a little more damage sometimes, but nothing stands out about this weapon other than the Rings of Fire, which, granted, are epic as hell.
The only thing I don't like about the Hulong Heater is that when you look down, you can't see through the fire, which is a problem if you have the high ground. It's the only thing I don't like about the weapon. I wish the particle animation wasn't as obtrusive to your view. That's it, though.
I decided to increase the damage penalty to -25% so it's harder to fight non-burning players, and instead of doing 25% more damage to burning players, it does 33% more damage in the form of mini crits, which end up turning into the normal minigun damage when combined with that -25% damage penalty because of math.
Imagine being set on fire and then suddenly taking hit scan damage with no fall off from across the map, being pinpricked to death. Also, yes, mini crits are 35%. That would be fucking AIDS to play against. And then having the same damage penalty as the Natasha? Oh, God. So it's either really busted or really fucking overpowered. Yeah, that is a really bad suggestion. Also, I missed a donation, sorry. Question, do I ever use iFunny? No. That's just, yeah, not good.
So, what's the point? Well, mini crits are unaffected by damage falloff, so fighting a burning target close up won't really be any different. But fighting a burning target at mid-range or long...
Yeah, and your DPS will be fucking insane, and the heavy's gonna be able to snipe you from a mile away if you're on fire. Oh, God.
Long range will be absolute hell for them.
Yeah, and really bad and not fun to play against. There's a reason why heavy has fall-off on his weapons, because he's really strong if you're getting shot. Removing that on the whims of having a Pyro on your team is not good.
I'm hoping this will give the Hulong Heater a more specialized role in the game, but since I haven't actually used these weapons in an actual match before, I'd love for you guys to play on the server yourself and tell me what you think.
So does he mean that he's never used the weapons, the vanilla weapons in the game? Or that he's not used the rebalanced ones in his server? What does he mean by that? Does it mean that he's never used the Hulong Heater, or that he's not used the rebalanced version in his own server? I really hope he's talking about the rebalanced ones in his server, because if he's not, that's really bad. You need to at least try the weapons before suggesting a balance change. If he's played with the Hulong heater, and now he's suggesting a balance change, that's fine. It doesn't save his suggestion from being bad, but at least he's experienced the weapon. So... Does he have a pinned comment where he clarifies this? I guess not. RTF2, let the community make changes to the game. What the community does. People really didn't like this video. I'm beginning to see why.
For some sandwiches, the buffalo steak sandwich is now eaten twice as fast and deploys and holsters a good bit faster too, allowing for high damage melee heavy to be less of a premeditated gimmick and more of a spur of the moment plot twist during a team fight.
That would be insanely annoying to fight against. The only change the buffalo steak sandwich needs is remove the hidden 20% damage vulnerability while it's active. That's the only change it needs. Otherwise, you're fighting what's effectively like a stronger Demonite. Oh god. Except without the extended range. But I don't think that's a good idea. It would probably make it a little too strong.
And the Delocus bar is now eaten 4 times faster and deploys and holsters significantly faster, making it more of a mid-battle snack rather than a full-course meal.
I'm halfway with that one. I agree the Delocos should probably have a faster animation. So, like, I think the consumption time should be half. But that's it. The deploy and holster makes no difference. But if you can eat it twice as fast, that would be fine with the Delocos. Just like the second banana. Then it's fine. I think that's okay. Only 50 HP sucks? I disagree. Because being over 300 health prevents you from... It actually puts you above damage thresholds that classes are used to. 2 headshots no longer kills you. 3 pipes no longer kills you. 3 point-blank rockets no longer kills you. That extra 50 health is actually really good. And also, people forget that it also increases the buff you receive from things like the quick fix. Because it doesn't max you out to 450, it brings you all the way up to 425. So, in my opinion, and I also use the Delocos quite often because I haven't before, and the more I use it, the more I realize this, it's quite good, and somewhat underrated. I wish it behaved as a medium health pack when you threw it to medics. That might also be a nice buff. But that's it.
I've always thought it was the weakest sandwich since it only heals a small fraction of your health, and that 50 bonus health might seem nice, but it doesn't actually increase your overheal capacity, so if you're using a medic on your team...
In a vacuum, the bar isn't bad, it's just hard to compare to the banana. I agree.
You should be. It kind of becomes useless. This new design will allow Heavy to take multiple bites pretty much back to back, and will allow him to cut his snack time short anytime he...
Nah, being able to regen that health too quickly is also a problem, because then it just makes him way too tanky. Also, is he playing against bots? He is.
To jump back into battle. It still increases your max health.
Yeah, I just realized this. Yeah, he's playing against bots. I'm very, very curious. Like, does he play with any of these weapons?
Health, and it still doesn't heal much, but...
I mean, so I understand having to play with bots for, like, demonstration purposes for his balance changes, because he probably doesn't want to... He probably can't populate an entire server, right, in order to, like, demonstrate them being used against something that resembles a player. This is how he normally plays, is it? I don't think it better not be how he normally plays. I don't think so. Does he? I feel like that's false information.
Harder to be caught with your pants down like with the other sandwiches. Buffed. And for our last heavy change, I tried to do something us heavy fans have been wanting for a long time. A heavy subclass. If you don't know, a subclass is basically any weapon or combination of weapons that radically changes how a class is played.
No, I see where this is going. We don't need subclasses.
Snipers, demo knights, and
we don't need subclasses. No, we don't need more official ones. No.
the big business, previously known as the family business. What once was a slightly different shotgun side grade is now a complete and total death machine on par with Heavy's miniguns. It still has 7 shots in the clip, but instead of boringly just firing a little faster and doing a little less damage, it gives Heavy a speed boost anytime he hits an enemy with the thing. And if he eliminates the enemy entirely, they'll drop a small health pack that Heavy can swoop in and grab with his speed boost. Fat Scout has arrived. Tell your friends. Now, obviously this is a direct—
Just play Scout. Just play Scout. And no, I think it's a really bad idea. That would allowing Heavy to snowball faster movement speed while being able to jump, while collecting small health packs, is a really bad idea. It works for the Natasha because he can't jump, right? He can't jump, and he still has his base movement speed, which is his normal movement speed. So that kind of a change works on that weapon, but not with the shotgun. And having the base health of 300, like, so, you also have to remember, a small health pack for a Scout is very different than a small health pack for the Heavy. That's 90 health. That's a fucking lot, right? Instead of 150. That's a lot, or what was it, 70, 75, it's either 75 or 90. That's a lot of health, a small health pack for a Heavy. Like, my god. Not a good idea. 60, 60. I forgot the percentages. What's the percentage again? It was like 50% of the small health pack. Hold on, I can't remember the health pack percentages. What was the percent on the small one again? Hang on. I have to do some Google foo. 20.5%. Okay, so yeah, 60 health. My bad.
upgrade
Still, it's a lot.
from the normal shotgun so far.
Stock shotgun is criminally underrated with Heavy? Yes. Listen, we don't need more subclasses that could potentially throw the game's balance into more disarray. Just don't think it's a good idea. I think it's fine. If you want to just run around as Heavy with a shotgun, it's still fun and fine.
And it is a direct upgrade to the normal shotgun. Until you switch to your minigun and realize that 75% of your ammo is gone, permanently. Which means no spam fire, no busting up sentries, and 75% less ammo from all ammo packs and dispensers. You've really got to use your miniguns.
Wouldn't that also mean 75% less ammo in your shotgun as well? Unless you've managed to have a way to parse those things? People wonder why you don't, people wonder why the Persian Persuader never goes used. Because the Persian Persuader means you can never use a grenade launcher. You can't combo it with anything. I feel like if you're gonna make a weapon for a subclass, you need to still make it reasonably viable with all of its other weapons, otherwise it's always going to go unused. That's why no one touches the Persian Persuader. So, pretty bad idea.
Sparingly, if at all, if you're...
Yeah, the Persian Persuader is good for full demo night, but it falls short because Hybrid Night's also very popular, and you can't really do it with Hybrid Night. So...
gonna run the big
it would see a lot more use if you could use it with a grenade launcher in some capacity.
business. Buffed. Alright, well that was fun talking about Heavy and all the goodies he got for Christmas this year, but buffs aren't the only thing I'm dishing out today.
Honestly, in general, I think Heavy is largely fine. He really doesn't need any buffs at all. Maybe some tweaks to his base, not his base kit, but some of his unlocks are needed, but not to this extreme degree. Really, only the Natasha is the one... I would say the Natasha is the one that is, like, the primary candidate for some adjustments. Maybe the Dolichos bar, but everything else, nah, not really.
It's time to move on to a class that has had it too good for too long. These nerfs are long overdue. Some of you are gonna love this, and just as many are probably gonna hate it.
Okay,
but
I was gonna say, if it's anyone other than Sniper, I'll be shocked.
Let's just face the facts, it has to be done. It's time to nerf the Sniper.
So this is probably why he got most of the dislikes on his video, was him just talking about nerfing the Sniper at all.
All sniper rifles have their primary ammo capacity cut in half, and now fire tracer rounds. Stealth is Spy's thing. I'm sick and tired of snipers hiding-
I'm okay with this. I see nothing wrong. Forcing snipers to have to reposition more often instead of camping the same spot over and over again, not being able to be touched. And also tracers to ensure that you know where they're coming from, because thanks to them being too far away, you can't see them You can't see them because they're only 2 pixels on your screen. I'm okay with this so far. This is fine. These are 2 good changes. I agree.
Being in the shadows, getting cross-map insta-kills without anybody knowing where they are. And you might say that good communication fixes the problem of stealthy snipers, but it really does not.
No one
First
communicates.
of all, good communication is supposed to be Spy's counter. Sniper's counter is supposed to be good.
Thing is, this doesn't really nerf Sniper because it doesn't change his base mechanics. It just changes his visibility and makes him have to reposition more often.
Positioning, you know, staying
This
out
is fine.
of the sight lines. And how are you supposed to position?
You can't cry about not being able to quickscope. It punishes you for actually missing a shot, which every other class experiences except the sniper, unless he's fighting against another sniper.
Yourself accordingly if you don't know where the sniper even is. You can't expect an entire team to know every map's callouts just to deal with snipers. Calling out a spy is effortless. Spy is heavy, spy on cart, spy on sentry, spy at...
Something else too, you should have the sniper call out like you have in Man vs. Machine. That should just be a button, right? If you can call out spy, you should be able to call out a sniper's presence too. Don't know why that's not part of the vanilla game. So... We'll always say making all sniper rifles have to charge like the classic the headshot is the best way to fix sniper. Perhaps, I mean, like at this stage of the game, expecting any kind of significant change to the sniper is a pipe dream. It's not going to happen. And I will always stand by what I've said, that the sniper was fundamentally flawed since day one. But what change would be needed? I don't know. I don't know what the best change would be needed. But ultimately, making his presence more tolerable by adding these 2 tweaks like this, I think that's good.
But snipers don't stick to landmark locations like carts or sentries. They could be anywhere on the entire map. If you're on Badwater and you say sniper on rocks, that could literally mean like 4 different things. And since they're a long-range class and Spy is a short-range class, actually getting to the position takes time, so they have a longer time to reposition than a Spy does. And so the stealth pick class, Spy, is easier to pinpoint verbally than the non-stealth pick class, Sniper. That is a massive fucking problem. If a Spy kills you without you ever seeing him or knowing he exists, you think, man, what a good Spy player. If a Sniper kills you without you ever seeing him or knowing he exists, you think, well, that's an annoying spot. How am I supposed to fight against that? I say...
Yeah, I think it helps. I mean, just in general, it helps fight the problem of Sniper being annoying to play against. Because if he takes a shot, you'll know he's there, and you can take proper action, right? It doesn't change his effectiveness, doesn't change his damage output, he can still camp in the same spot over and over again, you still can't push him, you know he's there, but you can avoid him better, try to flank him if you can, but I still think these changes are totally fine. He's yet to say anything wrong about Sniper yet.
I've just had enough. The reduced ammo will force Sniper to reposition more often or pick sniping spots in your ammo packs, making it easier to spot snipers and kill them while they reposition, and make it easier to predict where a sniper might be camping out at. The tracer rounds
Just don't reduce the ammo count for the Huntsman. Huntsman is fine.
Will also encourage a sniper to reposition more often so he's less predictable and allows players to actively consider enemy snipers' sightlines during combat instead of just being in the middle of a team fight and getting your head blown off out of nowhere. Because you get to see all the shots the sniper hits and the ones he misses, you're able to perform a little bit of mental calculus to deduce just how accurate this
Huntsman is more proactive, yes. It also forces a sniper to actually engage the team.
He's really able to see from his position. Nerfed, 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 nerfed. And now it's time for the old switch.
And even then, it's not that much of a nerf, because the sniper mechanically is still exactly the same. It's not that drastic of a nerf as he's making it out to be. It just makes the presence of a sniper that much more tolerable.
The Hitman's Heatmaker, which is the exception to literally everything I just said, because this guy does not fire tracer rounds unless the focus ability is activated. I did, however, increase the body shot damage penalty from -20% to -66%.
Why?
The normal sniper rifle does 150 damage on a fully charged body shot, and the Hitman's Heatmaker does 50. It
Why?
is the weapon of the tryhards. If you're a truly elite sniper who never...
No one uses this! Since when is the Hitman's Heatmaker that's the rifle of the tryhards? It's always vanilla. What the fuck? It's always the stock sniper rifle. What is this guy on?
misses a shot You won't notice any of the sniper nerfs as long as you use this weapon. But if you think this weapon sucks, then I have one recommendation for you. Get good. Nerfed.
What? This weapon is always a straight downgrade if you're a god at sniper. Why does it need an even bigger nerf? That makes no sense. Quick scoping is infinitely better than remaining hard scoped in and limiting your field of view for extended periods of time. That's why sniper mains don't use this outside of man versus machine. Because being able to be running around and moving around and scoping and instantly doming someone and retaining your full field of view is infinitely more powerful and stronger and better than the Hitman's Heatmaker. And then he nerfs this even more? What? Like, this is like the first sign that I'm shown that he probably doesn't play this game very much. Oh god.
And if you're somebody who thinks about game design sometimes, you probably know that by giving every sniper rifle tracer rounds, it inadvertently buffs the Machina, which used to be the only rifle to have that downside. Which is why the Machina now slows down your move speed just a little bit to make up for all the extra damage you get to do. Nerfed.
It's not much of a nerf. It's not much of a nerf if sniper is not involved in the team fight anyways. That's kind of a nothing change. And also, this adjustment is made in the face of his other nerfs that he's proposed. It's not much of a difference.
In the bearer of based news, it's time to get to the fun stuff. Sniper secondaries. I'll start with the smallest change.
So, before we get into whatever mess this is going to be, I will say that in the current state, a lot of his secondaries could stand adjustments because they all serve to mitigate his downsides that should exist to balance the sniper. That's how most of his secondaries behave. Let's see what he does.
Change the Cleaner's Carbine, which now has highly increased accuracy to make it more of a mid-range finisher weapon, distinguishing it from the SMG's close-range capability.
No. The sniper should not have two mid to long range weapons. The SMG should be bad at anything other than close range. That is why the spread is terrible. Please do not buff any SMG.
Abilities. Buffed.
No.
Oh, and remember how fucking boring the Darwin's Danger Shield is? I mean, come on. Fire resistance? Who cares?
What do you mean, who cares? Why wouldn't you willingly double your health against the one class that will instantly kill you if he gets next to you? Why not punish the Pyro instead of rewarding him for playing the class how he's meant to be played, right? Why would you not willingly double your health against the one class that will shred you if he flanks you? Why not? Why would you not willingly turn off the flank class if there's no spy on the enemy team, the other natural counter to a sniper if he gets in his face? What do you mean, who cares?
Instead of just giving some bland damage resistance to counter one random class.
It's bland, but it's really strong. And what do you mean, one random class? It is turning off one of the classes in the game.
In the game, I'm reinventing this item into what I call the Forester's Frog Skin. It'll protect you from danger.
Almost foreskin.
Sure, but not by passively shielding you from one random class in the game. Instead, this thing gives you increased move speed, massively increased jump height, and 25 less max health. Remember what I said about wanting Sniper to reposition more? This thing will let you do that and then some.
Oh
you can reposition yourself right in front of some dude's face.
Oh,
and launch an
no
arrow
way!
into it, or simply
What?
jump back and forth between health packs and high ground.
What is this guy
You can now go where
on?
no sniper has ever gone before. Nobody will see it coming, but they will be.
You just want to play Widowmaker. You want to play a different game at this stage. Do not give Sniper this. Please, no. No. I thought you wanted to nerf Sniper.
Able to react strategically due to the tracer rounds, unless you use the Heatmaker, in which case I think I may have just unleashed the mother of all tryhards. Buffed. The Razorback is getting a similar treatment. Instead of shielding you through mobility, this one actually will
Shielding?
shield you passively. Not being able to be overhealed was kinda stupid, so I removed it. I understand why it was there. It was to prevent a sniper from being able to tank a bunch of revolver shots through the overheal while
No. It was there. It was put in place so the sniper wouldn't be able to tank headshots and backstabs at the same time. His two natural hard counters. That's why the overheal penalty was put on there. He doesn't even know why they removed the overheal penalty because competitive snipers could not kill each other because they were being overhealed and so they couldn't be sniped, and they had a fucking Razorback on, so they couldn't be backstabbed. They were fucking unkillable. Ah! I have to dislike the video now. I'm sorry.
Being immune to backstabs. But don't worry, because I've removed the backstab immunity. It still discourages backstabs though, because it soaks your stabber in Jarate for 8 seconds. So if you're playing
just so it punishes the spy. It still punishes the spy. It makes no difference. You die twice as fast. You still give away your position. Instead of forcing you to change to your gun. Like, this is not a proper equivalence. It's terrible. Like, what is this? AI generated this one's terrible. Like, it's even worse. Like, there was a weapon idea on the workshop or somewhere where it's literally a bag of piss on the sniper's back, where you backstab them, you get Jarated. That was a weapon concept I've seen floating around for a while. And then he just put that with the Razorback, or he just changed the Razorback into that. That's what he did. He turned the Razorback into that item. No, it's still no. I'm sorry. Just
around your team, you are sure to be avenged quickly after your death.
The spy should not be punished for playing spy, just as Pyro should not be punished for playing Pyro. That's why the Darwin's Danger Shield and the Razorback are conceptually flawed items that need to be reworked into something else entirely. It gets worse? What do you mean it gets worse? Does it get worse?
Death. It also increases your max health by 25 like the Danger Shield used to.
No!
Now it's harder for a spy to
Sniper does not need more health!
Stab you, and harder for him to shoot you to death, but both are still possible, unlike with the old Razorback where it forced spies to use their revolver. The health bonus also means
yeah, it will force you to use your revolver, but you either do that or get yourself soaked in piss.
you get a little bit more out of health packs and can be overhealed to 225 health, which I think will combo nicely with the Huntsman and hopefully won't be too unfair to fight against. I mean, surely a pocket soldier is still going to be more dangerous than a pocket Huntsman sniper, right?
It's not going to make it any less AIDS to fight.
I've also been calling this one the wet blanket instead of the Razorback because I just imagine Sniper wearing a huge piece.
This entire video is a wet fucking blanket. I had some hope. I liked a couple things so far, but it's like we're getting into majorative
blanket on his back that coats spies and Jiraiya for stabbing him. Nerf.
I need a drink. I need a beer. I need alcohol to finish this. I'll be right back. I got the strongest beer that I have in the house to get me through this. The highest alcohol percentage beer that'll get me through the rest of this fucking video. Oh boy. All right. For those curious, I have a Death by Chocolate. Death by Chocolate beer. We have a stout with lactose, chocolate cake, and vanilla cream flavors. Whopping 12%. We have a 12% stout to get through this video. Ooh, that is smooth. Oh, that is so good. That's good shit. Okay. Let's keep going. We're not even halfway done yet.
But only kind of. And now for the Cozy Camper, which is exactly the same as it used to be, except that it now puts your max ammo to a whopping 40, so that you can...
Why? What do you mean? Why would you do this? There's no point in giving him 40 fucking bullets. That just turns off the nerf you propose? Why? Why? What the fuck? Seriously? Like, sure, I guess it's fine with the Huntsman, but, like, why? What? I am... Wow.
You know, camp. If you somehow manage to surf a rocket into a crazy good sniping position, the Cozy Camper will let you heal back up, like normal, and keep you well stocked up on ammo.
No, you should die. That's not what should happen.
Buffed.
No.
Alright, time to talk about a weapon that should be cool, but isn't. The Shahansha. A little...
Don't touch my Shahansha. The Shahansha is fine. It is a fun gimmick. Fuck you. What are you gonna do to it? What are you gonna do to my fucking Shahansha? I'm scared.
extra damage when below half health and a little less when above, it's just...
I don't care what you guys say. I think this one is fun.
It's kinda lame. It's not that impactful. So I changed each instance of 25% with 70%. That's right, 70% more damage when low on health, 70% less damage when you're healthy. That's 111 and 20 damage respectively.
You can random crit anything to death. You need to think about the context of balancing these things in the base game, in vanilla TF2. Sniper with his insane damage, with his insane damage output, then being given a melee weapon which can deal 333 damage.
It is truly situational now. And of course, adding that much damage to any weapon means I've got to get rid of random crits. You know the truth.
Okay, there's at least that, but 111 damage per swing is fucking ridiculous. No. Not with Sniper. You should not be buffing Sniper that much at close range. He does not need it. The 25% is enough. That you don't need to give him 111 damage per swing. No, not Sniper. Bad. Bad? No. Snipers should be weak at close range.
Can't have snipers one-shotting heavies with their melee, and it deploys slow and swings a little slower.
It gets worse! It gets worse! Why? No!
So it's really not a get-out-of-jail-free card at all. You've got to be smart if you pull this thing out or else you're toast. But even with all the downsides, I still think it'll be better, or at least more fun, than the original shot.
Just because something is fun does not mean it is balanced. No, the normal Shahansha is fine. Do not change it. This is bad.
Shahansha. It is a guaranteed 111 damage after all. That should make any scout or spy think twice about chasing you around that corner. Buffed. And speaking of spies...
It is punishing a player for damaging a sniper at close range way too heavily, because as soon as you deal one shot of anything on him, he can just delete half your health or more. No.
Let's talk about the Tribalman's shiv.
Without needing to scope in.
In normal TF2, it's a decent way to reveal spies, but nowhere near as good as the Girardi. So I just leaned into the bleed a little more and made it do less damage on hit with longer bleed time.
That is AIDS. Why would you make bleed last longer? No. Ugh. It's fine. Tribalman shiv is fine. You don't need to change it. No.
Meaning it does 87 damage over the course of 10 seconds instead of 81 damage over the course of 6 seconds.
That is raw AIDS. Keep it as is. You don't need to change it.
10 seconds is also how long how long Girardi lasts. Just for reference. 4 extra seconds to chase down a spy will definitely come in handy, but it's not really
we need to find ways to punish spy more.
Doing any extra damage. Buffed. Whew, alright, that was a lot of changes for just Sniper and Heavy, but I think we can all agree that those are the classes that needed them the most.
No, maybe Sniper needs changes, but Heavy is mostly fine. I think Engineer needs more than Heavy. Does he do any for Engineer? Soldier, Scout, Demoman. Okay, Engineer is not a very long section, but we'll see what he does.
These next ones will be a lot faster, like Soldier. I mean, I might be biased because he's my most played class, but I can't think of a single weapon he has that doesn't work the way it should. Moving on to Scout. I'm just playing with
Really? Nothing for Soldier? What do you think needs to be changed on Soldier? How about the Bison? How about putting the Bison back to the way it was? Oh, okay, he's talking
Alright,
about it.
you didn't think I'd forget the weakest weapon in the game, did you? The
Okay, I was
Righteous
gonna say.
Bison? This thing sucks. So I quadrupled its fire rate to have a kind of net-like effect where you catch enemies. You know, like you're creating a wall of projectiles.
Just undo the changes made to it. Just put it back to the way it was. You don't need to make it this crazy burst fire weapon. Just put it back to the old form. And don't make it cancer spam. Like worse cancer spam. Just restore it back to its old stats. That's all you need to do.
Rather than trying
Nothing
to actually
else.
aim individual shots, which proves to be completely impossible with this weapon.
That's why you need to put it back to the way it was. So it rewards your aim, and does not turn into the sneeze gun. No, clearly he doesn't know what it used to be.
Now it actually has a mid-range use of pushing a sniper out of his nest or breaking up a big cluster of enemies.
Someone mentioned the base jumper. Does he not think the base jumper needs to be put back?
Instead of just being, you know, the fucking worst weapon in the game, it's still not going to be out-damaging your rocket launcher though, so don't get any big ideas. It should be fun to play with though. Buffed. Okay, now it's time for...
He doesn't mention the base jumper. He doesn't talk about the base jumper. He doesn't talk about the base jumper. He doesn't talk about one of the most fun movement weapons in the game that changes soldiers' aerial dynamic entirely, with the perfect downsides of being completely vulnerable to hit scan and being so fun. No, we don't put that back. We don't talk about one of the most fun weapons nerfed because compies complained about scouts not being able to get close enough to kill soldiers, or they can't hit air shots anymore. Holy fuck! God forbid! God forbid we take one of the most fun weapons put in the goddamn game and then nerf it into the floor to the point where no one fucking uses it! Bring back the old base jumper. Base jumper was insanely fun. Being able to redeploy it on demand with the amount of air strafing you had was insanely fun. It made the airstrike even more worth using. God. And the base jumper is still banned in competitive. I hate esports. I hate competitive games. They have caused irrecoverable damage to so many things, including one of my favorite fucking games ever made. Fuck! Makes me so mad.
Scout for real this time. Again, you might hate me for saying this, but I think Scout doesn't have a single overpowered weapon.
Maybe Mad Milk? But everything else, no. I kind of agree. Soda Popper? Not really. Like, you never see Scout mains using the Soda Popper. They're always using stock. Stock is just objectively the best weapon. It's insanely strong. And really, Scout is strong because of his movement. I would really only say the Mad Milk might be a candidate for being overpowered. But even then, it's not... no one uses it because just normal stock Scout is so good. I don't know. I think the Rap Assassin and the Cleaver are totally fine. Those are okay.
I am making this for you guys though, so if you all really think the Force of Nature or Criticola need to be changed, I'm willing to work with you guys there. But for right now, I'm just gonna change the Candy Cane and call it a day. Instead of 25% more damage from explosives, which ends up making this thing too situational.
No, Scout gets fucking annihilated by explosions, which is one of his main counters is someone's blast radius. Ugh.
I'm just gonna go all the way and give him 25 less health for equipping the item. And to balance it out and make this thing actually fun, I've made it so that the health packs enemies drop when you kill them now fully heal you, along with every other health pack in the game.
So you made it worse! Why'd you make it worse? It's already like the least used Scout melee! Because he gets sneezed on by a projectile and dies? Fuck it! Now anything can kill him in one shot! Oh my god! What? Unbelievable! Oh my god! It doesn't matter, like, it doesn't, here's the thing though, it's like, it doesn't matter if you change health kits to full HP kits, he still dies in one shot to anything! Oh my god!
Meaning as long as you don't take too much damage all at once.
100 damage is not a lot. That's one shot with most things. In close to medium range. You've made the weapon so much worse. Oh my god!
You could theoretically go on a total rampage with this thing. Or a sugar rush, if you will. Buffed.
I'm gonna sugar rush myself into a fucking coma. God.
And for the third class that barely gets changed...
Is that it? Is that the only thing he talks about is the fucking candy cane? Nothing else? Like, sure, maybe you want to buff the shortstop just a little bit, maybe? That'd be nice. Maybe tighten the spread a little bit on the random spread. That would be good. Yeah, maybe the sun on a stick. Maybe the Sandman. Hello? Some of the least used items in the game? Fuck? Not gonna mention those at all? I can't... I need to not be upset at him for not mentioning items. I need to focus on being angry about the things he's talking about. I need to focus on what he's talking about. Sandman should be buffed, and so should the sun on a stick. In some capacity. I don't know how, but they need to be changed because they're fucking useless.
Demoman. I'll be honest, I'm just gonna buff the shit out of the caber and move on with my life. No more damage nerf. In fact, there's a damage buff. Triple damage to buildings. You heard me. I want to live in a world where Demoman can charge headfirst into a distracted sentry gun and destroy everything in the vicinity, including himself. This one definitely needs playtesting, but I'm praying to God that it works the way I want it to, because this image is just hilarious to me. The next change might be considered a downside.
I have several questions. One, why do we need to give Demoman another means of dealing with buildings? Second, the weapon should be good against other players. Can you just revert the nerfs that it had? Remove the stupid swing speed penalty? Remove the shitty damage penalty? Like, and just... remove the awful deploy speed penalty? Oh my god!
But really it's just another upside, which is that the Demoman's Ullapool Caber deals more damage to himself, enough to guarantee that the Demoman dies even if he's over.
I'm done! Like, this has to be bait. This can't be real. This has to be bait. There's no way this guy legitimately thinks that this is an appropriate balance change. Like, he's fucking with us. He got all of us. He pulled the wool over our eyes. He fooled everybody. This is a joke. This video is a joke. There's no fucking way. This is bait. We all fell for it. We all took it hook, line, and sinker. This cannot be real. I refuse to accept that this is real. Oh my god. The only change the caber needs is put it back to how it was. Perhaps keep the damage the same, but remove the stupid swing speed penalty and remove the stupid deploy speed penalty. That's all you need to do, and then the caber is fine. Maybe buff the damage a little bit. Don't do this. This is really bad. I love being a suicidal demo when all of my other weapons already shred my health at close range. Why would I ever use this if I hit someone and die immediately? No.
Healed. Now, normal, sane people will see this as a downside, but caber users are not normal, sane people. They don't want to live after they've lost their caber. That's all they've got going for them. It's the only thing they care about. Dying immediately after using it just means you get to respawn quicker, which means you get—
Someone said I think I need a stronger drink. Someone said I need spirits to get me through this. I'm gonna finish this beer, and then I'm probably gonna have to get something else.
charge replenished faster, which means more cabering. It's all upsides in Caber Town. Also, it gets random crits now. Fuck you, buffed. Oh, and you know how
No. Oh my god.
the Iron Bomber is like super boring and barely changes anything from the normal grenade launcher? Well, it's the Carpet Bomber now. Buffed. And since these Demoman buffs might bother some engineer mans, I'll go ahead and tell you about the Texan's new toy.
What? Yes, let's make demo spam even more cancerous. By vomiting, that has to be a troll. There's no way that's real. That cannot be real. Like, I guess you can make the argument that the Caber changes were like a real thing, and he just wants something funny and gimmicky, but no, let's just vomit 4 pills out with, I guess, slightly higher spread so you instantly annihilate anything in front of you. The Demoman does not need a beggar's bazooka with his grenades that have no damage fall off. No, we do not need this. Oh my god.
The Pumpson now fires faster, like the Regis Bison, but not as fast, and reloads slower. And instead of draining Uber and
Why does it need to reload slower? It doesn't need to reload. Just increase the projectile speed. That's all you need to do. Just increase the projectile speed on the fucking Pumpson. That's all you need to do. Turn it into a straight DPS weapon. That's it. That's it. And of course, and I also agree that you should remove the drain on Uber and Cloak. That is cancerous to fight against. Wait, twice as much?
Cloak, it just drains twice as much Cloak now.
No, don't do that. I didn't read what's on my screen. No, remove those. He was talking about removing things that are terrible to play against. This is terrible to play against. You should not be punished for playing Medic or Spy. If you get hit by this, you would get 1/5 of your Uber removed. Think about that for a second. No! Fucking no! Ah!
Now, there is just no fucking reason engineers should be capable of single-handedly destroying an Uber.
Okay, even if it's just Cloak, no! We don't need to punish the Spy more! Even if it's just the Cloak, but no, still bad. Still really, really bad.
Push on his own goddamn sentry. Since Spies can get a ton of Cloak from destroyed buildings, this shouldn't be—
They should! They should be rewarded for destroying the engineers' buildings! That's how it's all— Yeah, I'm gonna have a fucking aneurysm! My camera's not focusing on me anymore.
be too annoying for Spy players unless they're using the Dead Ringer, in which case if you don't have the Dead Ringer active, it's gonna disable it for a couple of seconds, and if you do have the Dead Ringer active, you're gonna get about, 1 millisecond of Cloak before the engineer comes at you with his wrench.
Talk about cancer to play against. How about no?
I think it's about time we saw some Dead Ringer counter.
All you need to do is increase the projectile speed on the Thompson, slightly buff the reload speed just a little bit, and remove Cloak and Uber Drain. That's all you need to do with the weapon, nothing else.
Counterplay from engineer, don't you? Buffed. Okay, time to make every engineer main watching this very angry. The Jag is too strong, it just is, everyone uses it, and for good reason. The repair penalty is barely even a penalty due to the increased swing speed. I think the Jag should be great at—
I disagree. Having the higher burst healing with the stock wrench is really good, and it makes you able to tank someone spamming your gun a lot better. And also, having to destroy sappers in 3 swings instead of 2 can be situationally a pain in the ass. It is generally all around better than the stock wrench simply because you get your buildings up faster, but I would not consider this, like, overpowered or, like, way stronger than stock. I think it's fine.
getting buildings up quick, but bad at keeping them up. So I increased the repair rate penalty from -25% to -40%. You can still use the Rescue Ranger to repair quickly, so this shouldn't be too bad, but I'm really tired.
40%? No one would use this. Holy fuck.
Of the Jag reigning supreme over all the
Of all of the things that he picked out of the engineer's arsenal to get a fix, or a change, or a nerf, he picks the thing that does not need a nerf. He better talk about the short circuit. He better talk about the fucking Wrangler.
Other wrenches. Nerfed. Hopefully this change will give other wrenches a chance, like the Southern Hospitality. It's my personal favorite and the one I always use. No spy expects you to pull this thing out, so it's hilarious to smack him in the face with crazy damage and watch him squirm away bleeding. I think it's honestly one of the most underrated weapons in TF2, and hopefully with this Jag change, that will stop being the case. The Southern Hospitality remains unchanged. And now it's time for us.
I think the Southern Hospitality needs a buff. I think the downside of having higher fire damage, the 20% vulnerability against fire, is largely useless. I don't know what they could do to buff the item, but I think it needs something. I think it needs some kind of a buff. What do you guys think? I'm not sure what it needs, but it needs something different. But I consider this the weakest of the wrenches, and probably the most deserving of some kind of a change. Like maybe a slight buff? I don't know, though. I don't know what. No fire vulnerability, but then it would just be a straight upgrade to stock. Kind of like how the third degree is. Would it make a difference? Not really. But then everyone would run this over stock, so I don't know. I don't know. Longer range dispensers? I guess that's something? It might be a little too strong, though. Longer range dispensers would be pretty strong. Health buff? I don't know. Having higher health, I don't know, because then why would you ever use the fucking gunslinger? I don't know. I think it needs a change. I'm not sure what kind of a change it needs, but I think it needs one.
To discuss what, in my opinion, is the most hair-wrenching stat in all of TF2. The Eureka Effect's 20% metal penalty. I hate this stat so much. It is so unforgiving. A medium ammo pack used to give you everything you needed for a dispenser, but not with the Eureka Effect.
See, I do kind of agree with this. I think having reduced ammo pickup or reduced metal pickup with the Eureka Effect is a little bit cancerous. Probably one of the main reasons why people don't use it.
A large ammo pack doesn't even let you fully upgrade your sentry.
I think it needs I think it needs a different downside. I think it needs a different downside. Even though, yeah, you can teleport to spawn to refill your ammo, the problem is you can't get back to the front line unless you've built a teleporter, which uses up your metal capacity, and then you rebuild that metal capacity slower. So, it's a little bit clunky. Damage nerf? Maybe, yeah, maybe that's better. You know, I kind of like that, maybe. Maybe just make it do, fuck it, 50% damage penalty on the Eureka Effect, but no penalty on the amount of ammo you pick up. Make it just like straight utility and have no damage potential. That might be something more interesting. I don't know, but let's see what he says.
Or dispenser. What is this?
And yeah, the Eureka Effect is fine, but people only use it for rollouts and trolling, not for like consistent long-term use.
Chicanery. It's so unfun to use, and it throws off your entire engineer rhythm. The taunt teleportation.
You have to play very differently with the Eureka Effect. It's not bad. I think it's fine, but I think it's like the least viable of the wrenches if you're actually playing the game after setup time.
Granted, is awesome.
Or if you're trolling.
But I never once in my life have used this weapon with a smile on my face, except for during weird ninja-neering shenanigans that only really work if you don't build a teleporter entrance, which makes your whole team look at you like you're an asshole. And the construction.
He's half right about that. It is pretty strong just to hide a teleporter exit somewhere and then teleport behind the enemy team without them knowing you and then just dropping a level 3 there.
Speed boost penalty is fine, but I think a more fun wrench would look something like this. Keep the cheaper teleporters, keep the taunt teleportation feature, make teleporters two-way, you heard that right, two-way, and make teleporters build 50% faster.
Don't make them build 50% faster. You don't need that. That's too much. Honestly, I kind of like the idea. You know why? Because that saves the engineer half the work. Because if your spawn moves forward on something like payload, you only need to move the entrance. You don't need to move the exit. I kind of like that idea. But it would need some kind of a strong nerf. Like, just making it a straight utility. It doing no damage, no defensive potential. Something like that would require a lot of playtesting. If you give it that kind of a buff, yeah, keep the downsides. Keep the reduced ammo pickup, or the reduced metal pickup. Because two-way teleporters would be very strong, but it would be very interesting. Because again, it would cut the engineer's maintenance time in half to keep his team moving forward. I think that's definitely the most interesting and probably one of the more viable changes that he's introduced in this video. I kinda like it. This isn't to say the current Eureka Effect is bad, I think it's totally fine, but it never sees use outside of setup time. That would change that. I kind of like the idea. It's very head-scratching. I think that would be worth trying. I do like that one. Wouldn't a team be able to fully restock whenever they're about to drop? You are correct about that. But that would also require for them to retreat back to wherever the exit is. And also his dispenser, which would require, so what would be the difference, right? Because if you typically, not always, but engineers have their teleporter exit usually near their dispenser. If they're already retreating back to the dispenser to re-heal and get ammo again, what's the difference between them just going all the way back to spawn and taking roughly the same amount of time to teleport back to spawn, restock, and then teleport back? Probably would be roughly the equivalent amount of time to restock at like a level 3 dispenser. Again, this would be something that would require a lot of playtesting. See, Great Blue, the fucking Caber changes were terrible. Fucking cancer. Yes, we need another way for Demoman to destroy buildings, and also he commits suicide if he swings once and connects. Terrible, terrible changes. I don't know. I think something like this would require testing. Yeah, you're right. It would be a little bit annoying with like something like Girardi being able just to go back and forth from spawn. But then, even then, right? Like, you have to think about downtime. You have to think about downtime, right? Like, how often is Sniper really using his Girardi? And really using his Girardi to support his team, right? Probably not that often. Usually just for himself. By the time he goes back to the teleporter, goes back to spawn, gets his Girardi, and then comes back, right? The spy's probably already respawned and has repositioned himself behind him, which would be a downside. But depending on where you are on the map, the Girardi would have recharged anyways. I don't know. Again, I still like the idea. What if the time between teleports was longer to prevent people from resupply spamming? You could cap the level at like level 1 or 2 if you're gonna have two-way teleporters. But then that might overcomplicate the stats. I kind of like the idea. Short circuit resupply though, it's still the amount of time spent at your dispenser to get more ammo and the amount of time to go back to spawn then come back. With either the taunt teleport or the teleporters themselves, wouldn't be that much different. Yeah, I agree. It needs some kind of heavy downside to make it work. Anyway, I'm gonna keep going.
This opens up all kinds of team-oriented teleporter shenanigans and will ideally make payload and 5CP maps more fun since your old teleporter exit can become your new teleporter entrance.
He said what I said. I think that's a clever idea, but it needs a pretty strong downside to make it work.
It's clearly the teleporting man's wrench, so it only has one downside. Sentries fire half as fast, meaning half damage and half knockback.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I kind of like it. Definitely merits experimentation. Definitely merits experimentation. This one had some thought. Might be too much. But I kind of like it. This is a hard one. But I kind of like it.
And they're just as expensive to build, so this is really a kick in the lug nuts. I imagine this new Eureka Effect being great with cooperative engineering, giving all the engineers on your team the ability to teleport back to spawn through your two-way teleporters and resupply their metal while they focus on keeping up the sentries. You could even do things.
Even then, that wouldn't be too strong, because if you have that many engineers on your team, it would greatly slow down your overall team's effectiveness. So it's not that much of an upside to help your other engineers.
No engineer has ever thought to do, like not placing the teleporter.
No, I agree. It needs playtesting. Don't get me wrong. But I like these ideas.
Entrance at spawn and instead placing it somewhere on the battlefield itself, essentially allowing your team's heavies to be in two places at once or having an elevator between high ground and low ground.
Too much of a niche upside for that downside? I disagree. Being able to move your team around like that would be very, very strong.
I'm really happy with this design, and while it may not be perfect, I'm hoping you guys can give it a shot and let me know what works and what doesn't. Alright, now it's spy time, and
everyone was warning me about this part. Everyone's warning me about this part. We had a brief reprieve from the bad ideas. Let's see what he says for these.
these changes are my favorite. Remember when I said that a select few weapons in TF2 are legitimately overpowered? Well, my friend, most of them belong to Spy. First, the Diamondback, which gets you
Most? What do you mean, most?
a full-blown crit every time you stab someone or sap a building. You might think of it as similar to the Frontier Justice, but they are actually exact opposites. The Frontier Justice gives you crits when your sentry gets destroyed based on how many kills it had, meaning as an engineer...
I agree the Diamondback needs a change. I'm curious to see what he suggests. Here's my thing about the Diamondback. There's no... so you have random spread, but it's not multiple pellets like you have with the Frontier Justice, where distance really genuinely punishes the amount of damage you do, even with the crits. Unlike the Enforcer, where you will always deal 102 damage at any range. This is one that I've been struggling with for a very long time. I think the Diamondback needs a change. I'm not sure what, though. For me, I've had the idea in my head of, like, making the Diamondback more of a quick draw item, where it has faster switch speed and faster firing speed, but with the same damage penalty. So if you get cut off really strongly, then you can quickly whip this out and kind of like fire away really fast, like bang, 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 right? Rough idea. Don't know if it's good, but it would certainly save it from being really cancerous with the crits. Or, alternatively, make it so crits only come from backstabs, instead of sapping buildings. Because if you sap a teleporter, you just get 2 free crits. Which would just be putting it back to the way it was. Right? That's how it was before, right? Where you only got crits based off backstabs. Even off backstabs is still OP. I do agree, only because there's no kind of fall off, right? It's still 102 damage no matter where you hit the person, and no matter the range. So... perhaps a step in the right direction would be to only make it off of backstabs and not off of sapped buildings. I don't know, man. I do think that you should be removing crits entirely from this weapon. Stored crits on this is pretty strong. At most, mini crits, also sorry I main Spy. I don't know, man. Mini crits would be better. What do y'all think? I agree that mini crits would be better. What do you guys think? Before we see what he says. Do you think mini crits are better than crits? I loosely agree with that. I loosely agree with it. Instead, so I should say, are mini crits better instead of something else entirely? Because what the mini crit would be doing is it would be making your shots slightly more powerful than they would anyways at that range, But also there's no fall off, right? There's also no fall off, so... Rather the concept remove, but if the concept would stay, IMO mini crits would be the best. Yeah, personally, I lean towards a different concept entirely. But yeah, mini crits would be better. Think temporary shot speed upgrade after a stab or sap. Don't want, yeah, I don't want it to be too mechanically complex. Fall off is the thing that needs to go on the Diamondback. Perhaps that is the solution. Instead of having it placed on the Ambassador, which did not need the nerfs, put the crit fall off on the Diamondback instead. What do y'all think about that? I like that idea. Put the crit fall off on the Diamondback. And have it be normal fall off. Not the weird linear ramp where it still does 102 and then falls off at a certain distance. No, have it be the same exponential fall off that you see with everything else. Perhaps that's the change that's needed. Make the Diamondback have increased building damage while increasing damage penalty versus while increasing. Oh. Problem with the Diamondback is that unlike the Kunai where you have to stab out of the situations, which is hard, you can just 102, 102. You know, yeah, I agree. That is why it's too strong. And again, at any range, no matter where you hit them, not headshots, just anywhere you hit them. How about leaning into the sapping and make it so it gets crits based off of how long a sapper saps? You could just farm sapping that way. Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea. Ambi is more consistent but heavily skill reliant. Diamondback should be less consistent but less skill dependent on headshots. Give it fall off. Yeah, I think fall off is the way to go. I think that's the stronger consensus we have here. Let's see what he says.
Your damage only goes up immediately after your damage and defenses went down. One goes up, one goes down. Yin and yang, push and pull, that's called game balance. The Diamondback doesn't fucking do that at all. It increases your damage when their damage gets decreased. You get crits when their heavy gets stabbed, when their sentry goes down. Being an engineer with a destroyed nest already sucks, but being an engineer with a destroyed nest sitting next to a spy with 4...
How close are you? You missed 2... Look, I'm bad at the game, I understand. But you're fighting a bot.
Bullets in his gun is much, much worse. I'm all for snowball weapons that reward you for doing well, but look at the Eyelander or the Bizarre Bargain, for instance. These take time to snowball. You have to really prioritize survival to see any...
Is he gonna say anything about Demo Knight? Oop.
In ancient medieval...
Oopsie.
I fixed
no, go
30
back.
of Team Fortress... Encourage the spy's enemies from protecting critical hit.
Rewind.
Being an engineer with a destroyed nest already sucks, but being an engineer with a destroyed nest sitting next to a spy with 4 insta-kill bullets in his gun is much, much worse. I'm all for snowball weapons that reward you for doing well, but look at the Eyelander or the Bizarre Bargain, for instance.
No, yes, I agree. Demo Knight is a bad comparison because you can just exploit your higher movement speed, your insane health pools, and your charge just to be a little bitch and run away. Eyelander needs to be nerfed.
Time to snowball. You have to really prioritize survival to see any benefits from these weapons. The Diamondback doesn't even encourage survival.
I need more alcohol. We have a breakfast stout. This one has chocolate, coffee, and oatmeal and hints. It is apparently sweet and decadent. This is a 8.3%. Smells good. Ooh, very strong coffee flavor. That's really good. This is like really heavy on the coffee. That is tasty. Good shit. Anyways,
It's like, well, I have all my crits now, I guess it's time to fucking use my ultimate ability by running headfirst into the enemy team, killing 3 random people, and then dying immediately. That isn't the role of a stealth class, that's fucking Reaper from Overwatch. I'm fine with this being the damage gun, but Jesus Christ, that's just too much damage. So with that in mind, I am proud to introduce you to the Diamond Back-to-Back. It's just like the normal revolver, except it's only got 2 bullets. But if you manage to take someone out with the first bullet, then you've got 1 second of critical hits, enough time to fire the last bullet and take out a second target before escaping. And no, you won't be able to chain together crits because the reload time is actually a little longer than the crit time. The crit itself will do 120 damage, so if you've got a weak player and a semi-weak player in your sights, you can dispose of them both in less than a second if you really know what you're doing. Think James Bond double taps.
It could be worse.
Wait a minute.
Could be worse, but that's still really weak. Because if you miss 2 shots, you just die. I would just use the Ambassador. This just kills the revolver. So you have the damage penalty. You still have the increased spread. You manage to hit the first shot, then you get a crit. But then you have to reload and then you die. That is really bad. Really, really bad. Talk about an insane nerf that makes the revolver useless. Can we agree? Can we just agree that people who don't play a lot of Spy shouldn't make balance suggestions? I think I agree that if you don't play a lot with something, you shouldn't. You are entitled to an opinion. You are entitled to an opinion. It doesn't make it a good opinion. It doesn't make it an informed opinion. But you are entitled. I'm slurring my words. I'm a lightweight. You are entitled to your opinion. Doesn't make it a good one.
Doesn't this kind of discourage the Spy's enemies from protecting their weak players?
So there you go. And so now,
getting close to a weak player might mean they get double killed.
To be fair, the revolver has a fast reload speed, so it's not that terrible.
And yeah, it does. That's the point. The Spy's disguise kit already makes the enemy team not trust their teammates and not want to get near them because they might get backstabbed, and the Diamond Back-to-Back pushes that concept even further. With this new design, I'm hoping that a Spy can break the enemy team's psychology just as well as he can stab their—
How does this have anything to do with the psychological warfare of the Spy? That is a stretch if I've ever seen one.
Backs. I absolutely adore the idea for this item, but I can totally see it being—
Oh, did I miss super chats? I'm sorry. I'll go back and read them now. I regret to inform you this is real. This video is not bait. I will not accept this Spy torture porn. How about leaning into the savvy and making so the crits get based on how long a savvy— I read that one, that's a bad idea. He skipped the Wrangler and Short Circuit. Yes, he did! He skipped the fucking Wrangler and the Short Circuit! 2 weapons the most deserving of nerfs in the game that are raw cancer to fight. I don't want to go on another Short Circuit rant. I've done many. But fuck that weapon. It is horrible to play against. Get rid of it.
broken in practice, so you guys will again have to try it out and let me know. Nerfed. Alright, moving on to Spy's other broken weapon, the Conniver's Kunai. Here's how the old version worked, or didn't work, rather. You sneak around with low health until you get a backstab.
Do y'all think the Kunai's busted? What do y'all think? Do y'all think the Kunai's busted? I'm seeing very mixed reviews. Here's my opinion. A good spy will never die. That's the only problem with it. A good spy will never die. It's the only thing I don't like about it. Ultimately, if he's dealing with enough competent players that know to shoot him, he'll still die. But against bad players, you will never fucking die. So one thing I don't like about it. Does that mean it's overpowered? Does it mean it needs a change? No. Because I still find myself preferring other knives over the kunai. Simply because starting out with only 70 health fucking sucks. That's just me. Yeah, I'll poll this. I'll poll this. Let's see. What do y'all think? Kunai busted. Kunai busted. Yes, no. What do y'all think? Let's see what y'all say. Let's see what people say. Would like to add people overstayed the health bonus in a game of 1 to 2 shot kills. I don't know, man. Here's my thing. Being able to get the backstab and cloak and then adding the additional 20% damage resistance and being able to surf anything away so you survive almost every time if you're competent enough is a little annoying to fight against in my experience. You put a kunai in a good spy's hands, that spy will almost never die unless he's caught out before he gets a backstab. That's a fucking almost 50-50 split, man. I don't know, man. Oh no, yeah, the Invis Watch is the best with it simply because you can add an extra 20% to the insane overheal. No, yeah, just because something is hard to use does not make it balanced. I will still stand by that. Just because something is hard to use does not mean the item is balanced. See Sniper. DR Kunai is uber cancer. Maybe when maybe pre-nerf Dead Ringer. Maybe when the Dead Ringer used to be really fucking strong. Nowadays, I rarely see people using the Dead Ringer. Most people stick with the stock Invis Watch. What kind of logic of a good player will never die is a counter argument. Simply because having the insane burst heal and exploiting janky hitboxes over and over again. After each kill, he just gets all of his health back. It's a little annoying. Because the one thing I hate, right? Here's the situation I always go back to in my mind. A spy just got a backstab. He's got like 150 health. I'm landing each of my shots perfectly. I'm screaming at my sniper that is a teammate. Dude, you have a spy behind you. But he has voice chat turned off. He's not paying attention. I deal 149 damage, perfectly placed. That spy should be dead. He backstabs the sniper, gets all of that health back. No, fuck you. All of your efforts are for nothing. I find that insanely annoying to play against. That's just me. The sniper deserved it, but I didn't. Does it make it overpowered? Not inherently. Does it mean it's annoying to fight against? Yes. Let's see what he says.
And upon a successful backstab, immediately gain a ton of health to help you escape. The problem here is that, and this may come as a surprise to you, Spy can go invisible, so avoiding taking damage before a backstab is actually not that hard.
That's kind of wrong. Avoiding damage as Spy in general is very tricky, mainly because his insta-kill mechanic requires him to be literally inside of someone's melee hitbox.
Almost inevitable for any half-decent Spy player. The health gain on a backstab, however, is incredibly useful, significantly protecting the Spy after getting a kill, especially when used in combination with the Dead Ringer. The weapons that
as we've just established, normal Cloak is way better than the Dead Ringer. Simply because... Hey! Hey, can y'all not do that, please? Anyway.
Downside does not have as big of an impact as its upside, by definition making it unbalanced. And here's another shocking revelation: Spy is not a tank. Giving him the health pool of a
Bad logic.
Pyro or Demoman anytime he's in danger distances him from his core design mechanic of stealth. Cause who needs stealth when you can take 2 rockets to the face like they're stale Cheetos? And to top it all off, we already have a knife that helps Spy escape after backstabs, the Big Earner.
Which puts his damage threshold at 100, enabling him to die in 1 shot to everything, meaning it's not nearly as good as the kunai. Or, frankly, stock.
Which is more interesting, more fun to play against, and more fun to use. So what did I do about the kunai? Well, I might have actually made it worse. Please do not hate me for this.
Oh, it's not cute. Oh, just say your words clearly and articulate. It's not cute. Don't say, oopsie whoopsie, I made a boo-boo. No, just say your shit. It's not cute. I don't think it's cute. Maybe a femboy does, I don't.
I turned it into a throwing knife.
God in heaven, I understand I'm put through trials. I understand you give me burdens to bear. I understand that there's hardships in life. But why'd you have to present me with this video today? You did this to me. Sometimes I question your judgment. I love you, Jesus, I love you, but my God. Yep, that's something right there. That's quite, yeah. Yep.
Just hear me out, okay? It was
I want to.
already one of the most unbalanced weapons in the game, right? So I'm willing to get experimental and try out this potentially crazy overpowered design. I think it'll work, but I could see it totally blowing up in our face.
Can I get an
It's just a
amen?
little more
Can
melee range.
I get a hallelujah? Can I get a praise the Lord? Can I get Jesus down, channel into the gods? Come on, give us some holy love from God up above. Can I get an amen? Hallelujah.
That's it, right? You've still only got 70 health with no health regen, plus it deploys a little slower too. It could be balanced, right? I mean, maybe, who the hell knows? Nothing like this has really been tried before for Spy. But remember all those cool throwing knife designs on the Steam Workshop? Didn't you ever wonder what could have been? The kunai already looks like a throwing knife. I just took it a step further and actually made it.
That's the joke, though, is he's not throwing it.
Honest, the rest of the balance changes I've made in this.
I don't think I need to explain why a ranged backstab is a bad idea. Do I need to explain why a ranged backstab is a bad idea? I don't think I do. You just have another sniper. It just removes all of the risk with the spy. He doesn't need to get close to people anymore.
Are, you know, based on logic, based on experience, based on good design principles. But this one, I just kind of vibed out. I'm sorry if it sucks, we can always change it later if we need to. Nerfed, I hope? Alright, time to get back to the realm of
You mean buffed? Dude? What?
reality. The Enforcer is pointless, and it's time for it to be changed. Forget everything you know about the Enforcer. I'd like to introduce you to l'Exécuteur. You'll never guess what that's French for. With this thing, you've got 1 bullet per clip, less damage, less reserve ammo, and 2 times slower reload speed. Pretty good so far, huh? It only has one upside too. On hit, bleed for 8 seconds. That's 64 damage.
I'm speechless. I am completely speechless. Somehow, he has managed to make a worse version of the gas passer. He has somehow designed a weapon that is worse than the worst item in the game. My most viewed video is about the fucking gas passer and why it is the worst item in the game. And he has somehow taken one of Spy's worst items, the worst item, hands down, and has transformed it into something worse than the gas passer. Already.
Way less DPS than the normal revolver. You might be thinking that it'd be impossible to get any meaningful kills with this thing, and you know, you'd probably be right. But maybe you don't need to. Hit a sniper with this bullet and he'll bleed for 8 seconds.
Is there anything else? Is there anything else, or is that it?
Taking up to 64 damage if he doesn't find a health pack. Yeah.
Oh, God forbid he loses 64 health and you could have killed him in 2 shots!
That's less damage than shooting him with the normal revolver. But this isn't about damage. The sniper will be bleeding for 8 seconds.
Which means nothing without follow-through. It means nothing if he's not taking any other kind of damage. Fuck!
Which means flinching for 8 seconds. Are you starting to get the picture? Sniper already has...
Or... in 2 shots, he could be dead! Sent back to spawn! In 2 shots! With the normal enforcer! I can't... Help me. Help me. Please. Please. I need a savior. I'm praying to the fucking medic. Please, just help me get through this. There's not enough liquor in the world to help me survive this.
Is the ability to disable Spy's cloak for 10 seconds with the Jarate or the Tribalman Shiv, and now the Executor turns the tables. It lets Spy disable Sniper's aim for 8 whole seconds. But
until he gets a health pack. Or until he walks at you and randomly crits you.
Don't worry.
And by the way, he could just shoot him.
Snipers.
You could just shoot him.
You can always equip the Cozy Camper to avoid flinching if this becomes a real problem.
Then what's the point? What's the fucking point? What is the point of the fucking item?
Buffed. And how can we...
That's a buff? This is bait. This video is bait. We're not even done. We have 2 classes to go. We're not even done yet.
We talk about Spy without discussing Pyro. And what would a Pyro discussion be if we didn't bring up everybody's favorite flamethrower, the Phlogistinator? This weapon is going to be unchanged, because I don't think the Phlogistinator is the guilty party here. The Flog is the fall guy. The real...
Yeah. Yeah, Flog's fine.
The real culprit is the Scorch Shot. This thing sucks to play against. All a Pyro has to do is...
I agree. Let's see what he says. I think the Scorch Shot needs a change. It does too much. Double mini crits on hit, full afterburn no matter how you hit them, The stun lock is easily the most annoying thing. Honestly, just remove the stun lock. That's it. Nothing else can change. Just remove the stun lock.
Aim in the general direction of the enemy team and left click, and within moments his flog meter will now be filled up and ready to go. No more, I say.
Detonator's better in that regard.
I'm gonna totally turn this thing upside down. Meet the new Scorch Shot, or as I call it, the Firefly.
Slow down! Whoa! Buy me a drink first. Holy shit! Holy shit! What? The Scorch Shot is now less easy to spam. Oh my, we're playing Toho. We're playing a bullet hell game. I'm hearing Night of Nights going on in the background right now. What the fuck is happening? My god.
Wait, don't click off the video. I know it looks terrible. I know it looks like total bullshit.
How does he justify this?
But I promise it's not that bad. These flares barely do any damage. It's all just in the afterburn. And look at them. They don't move very fast at all either. And
That doesn't matter because they have a longer hang time in the air and you can walk into them!
luck trying to actually aim the damn thing, they go all over the place. The point of this weapon is to let Pyro do what the Scorch Shot was already making the Pyro do, which is to just aim in the general direction of the enemy team and hold down left click, but with a better result. Armageddon fire on big groups of enemies to cause maximum chaos from a distance. It's not actually gonna kill anybody.
Is this a buff or a nerf in his eyes? Is this a buff or a nerf?
Imagine raining down Armageddon on an enemy push while a couple hoops—
This is a buff! This is cancer! Imagine just being able to do this and just imagine upward with 3 pyros doing this. Spamming into all of the spawns, spamming down the chokes, just this hailfire of fucking flares. Imagine this shit. Oh my god.
long heater heavy sit behind you ready to pick
I'm playing a ×10 server.
off anybody hit by the flares. Or imagine just shooting a couple of these bad boys into a room, running in with the extinguisher, and just praying to God that one of them hit something.
Playing against bots. Playing against bots.
These new flares, or fireflies, are really just an inconvenient distraction. They're not hard to dodge at all if you're paying attention to them.
Unless you vomit them into a choke, and then you're guaranteed to be fucked. How is this any better than the Scorch Shot? In a choke. Just dodge, bro, when the entire room is filled with flares.
But you do have to pay attention to them. I really think this will still manage to be less annoying than the old Scorch Shot. Maybe that
There's no way he just said that.
you look like an idiot, but I don't care. Nerfed.
This is the most fun I've ever had watching a YouTube video. Oh my god.
And remember, like with all of the weapons, if it totally sucks, we can always just change it. This next one though, I'm pretty confident in. The Sharpened Volcano Frag.
Thank God he's competent in this one.
This is, and I've thought this for like 11 years, the coolest looking weapon in Team Fortress 2. Which sucks, because it is by far the stupidest
Volcano Fragment needs some kind of a buff, I agree, but what does he say?
fucking weapon in Team Fortress 2. The Volcano Fragment ignites enemies on hit, which is pretty sick, until you think about the fact that the Pyro has a fucking flamethrower. If you're in a melee range of an enemy—
Just swear. Just let it out. Dude, you're 30 minutes into your video. Just say cock, balls, tits, pussy, ass, and fart, and cunt. It's okay. They're not gonna demonetize you. It's totally fine. You don't need to be family friendly. We know what you're saying. You don't need to censor it.
you are 10 out of 10 times better off to just use the flamethrower. The point of the class. It does more damage, it has better range, it can air blast, and it will also light them on fire. This thing is completely useless outside of medieval mode. But what if we really leaned into the damage over time mechanic of Afterburn? It is the sharpened volcano fragment after all. And what do sharp things do? That's right, they make you bleed. So now instead of just igniting enemies, the volcano fragment will also make them bleed, meaning they'll be taking 16 damage a second for 6 seconds.
I mentioned this as a potential buff to the weapon before. I don't know if I agree with it anymore. See, that's a lot. That really is a lot. I feel like just giving it some kind of mini crits against burning players would be better than something like this. I think that's a better idea. Just let it do mini crits against already burning players, and then have it just kind of like reigniting the full afterburn. No, mini crits, not crits, mini crits, mini crits. I think that's way too strong. That much damage over time would just bleed already sucks to fight against. That's already fucking annoying. Let's just make it worse. I don't think it's a good idea. This thing needs some kind of a buff. I don't know what it would be, but it's not this. Just make Pyro throw the axe. Fuck it, why not? I honestly, I don't know anymore. I think I'm now too drunk to give a proper idea as to how to buff this item, but this is not it.
Seconds after you hit them with this, for a total of 129 damage.
That's almost double. That is double. 130 from normal melee in one swing. Oh my god. Does he not see what's wrong with that? You can one-tap a light class in one swing. That's insane. No. That's a terrible idea. Just fundamentally. My god.
May seem overpowered, but let me remind you, this is still significantly less damage per second than the normal flamethrower, which can
And then you're fucked if you can't get to a health kit if you don't have a medic. You just die. You have no choice but to die.
Light class in less than 2 seconds if
It's like a... No.
the Pyro is aiming properly. And let me also remind you that the original volcano fragment did 100 damage after 6 seconds, and nobody thought that was unfair. So this change really...
Yeah, because it didn't one-tap a light class.
Isn't that crazy. It'll definitely send enemies into a panic though, seeing their health draining that quickly, especially a medic or light class. Buffed. Speaking of medic, he's got a couple new toys too. I'll start by talking about the quick fix.
Don't. No. 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 Do not change the quick fix. Do not change the quick fix. Do not. No.
Which in my opinion is the most underrated weapon in this entire game. I love this thing. It's basically the only medigun I use. It's fun as hell, good as hell, and it's gonna remain unchanged. I want to make a whole video on this thing sometime.
Thank you. Fuck. I was so scared.
Because I don't think anybody truly appreciates what it does for this game. Alright, now for the real changes.
Watch my video instead, it's better.
The Vaccinator. We all know this thing is overpowered. The 75% damage resistance the Ubers provide, combined with Overheal, essentially increases the medic's patient's health by 600%.
The Vaccinator is an incredibly polarizing weapon. If you suck with it, it sucks. If you know how to use it, it's cancer to fight against. I just think it's another one of those weapons that conceptually is not good for the game. Because when you can suddenly just turn off damage from a certain damage type, that sucks. Also, yes, he didn't mention the gas passer. Oh my god.
To put that in perspective, an overhealed heavy with the Vaccinator Uber has a functional 1800 health.
Yes, and that's cancerous. And being able to do that at the flip of a switch against any damage, multiple damage types, because you can do it with 2, That sucks. That is not fun to fight against, just suddenly being turned off on a whim. And it's also largely unpredictable, because you have 4 mini Ubers instead of 1 larger Uber, which sucks, because you just like don't know if the person I'm attacking who's being healed is suddenly just can't be killed, right? That's not fun. And for how long? You don't know. Is it 2.5 seconds? Or is it going to be a full 8 seconds? You don't know.
Damage type the medic chooses. That's basically just an Uber charge, except you get 4 of them and they charge twice as fast. If the medic's patient is somehow fighting a soldier, pyro, and scout all at the same time, then yeah, the damage resistances aren't gonna block everything. But most of the time, it's pretty easy for the medic to see what resistance is needed at any given moment and switch to it. You basically win.
Honestly, yeah, once you mechanically master how to cycle damage resistances, this thing is really fucking strong.
Any possible 2v1 with the click of a button. This whole item needs a serious makeover. I'm completely getting rid of the damage type resistances and replacing it with a single invulnerability Uber charge that lasts a little less than 1 second.
How is that any better? How is that any better? That changes nothing. Now, instead of selectively turning off a damage type, it can just turn off damage on a whim to everything. How is that any better? That makes it even more frustrating to play against. What the fuck? That's not any better at all. That's just a buff. That's so much worse. What? Yeah, there's no sacrifice now. Yeah, exactly. Your spy's about to backstab you, then, oh, sorry, that's just gone now. And they can do that how many times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, how many? Congratulations, you just buffed the vaccinator.
Enough time to absorb a rocket, meat shot, headshot, or sticky trap if timed well. The Uber meter charges 500% faster to balance this out, taking about 8 seconds to fully charge instead of the normal 40. I want this Uber to feel like a defensive parry instead of like a full hand of get-out-of-jail-free cards. And
that is a That is the definition of a get-out-of-jail-free card. That is the definition of a get-out-of-jail-free card. Every 8 seconds, you are given a get-out-of-jail-free card.
I leaned into the vaccination theme of the weapon by giving it an 80% reduced overheal that never depletes. For reference, this will give an overhealed soldier a permanent 220 health.
No.
Until he takes damage, of course, in which case he'll need to be overhealed again.
No.
I want it to feel like you're vaccinating your teammates for the upcoming battle and having the survivors run back to you to get their booster shots once the overheal has been taken away by the enemies. I think this will be more fun, more unique, and most importantly, a lot less powerful.
Sometimes I think about the hardships I've been through in life. Sometimes I think about the shit I've dealt with. Sometimes I think about my years online, all of the drama I've dealt with, all of my hardships. You know, I've dealt with death. I've dealt with being doxxed. I've dealt with being harassed. I've dealt with just, you know, the normal pains and gripes of life. But this video is truly a new trial. It is truly something to experience this video. I'm changed forever. I'm not coming out of this the same man. I'm reborn. I am just blown away. I just, oh my God. Baptism of fire, amen.
Nerfed. And now for the syringe guns, or as I call them, the syringe guns. They're all getting changed, starting with the stock syringe gun. I really wanted to avoid changing stock weapons, but this one is just so incredibly terrible that it pretty much forced my hand.
Stock is fine. Do not change the syringe gun. Stock is fine. Stock should be the baseline. Medics should not have offensive capabilities. Keep the syringe gun totally the same. Do not change it.
And here, I think a plus 10% faster firing speed and plus 20.
No.
20% faster deploy time will give it that little
No.
extra
Keep it
kick
the same.
needs to be a
Fuck
defensive
you.
tool for anyone popping up in your face.
Fuck you.
Buff.
No.
And as for evasive tools, we've got the new Overdose.
Overdose is fine. I made a video about it. It's good. You don't need to change it. Nerf the crossbow.
The old Overdose used to increase your move speed while equipped based on your
That's it. Nerf the crossbow, nothing else.
uber charge percentage, which is kind of cool but mostly pointless because if you have full uber charge, you're probably going to be keeping your medigun out in case you need to pop it.
No. If you're not a dumb fuck, you know when to run. You pull out the goddamn overdose and get the fuck out of Dodge. That's why it's good. It's situationally viable, and it rewards you for any amount of Uber you have. I made an entire video about why it's good. Go watch it. It doesn't need to be changed.
Making the Overdose's speed boost completely null. I removed this whole uber charge percentage thing and just gave it a flat 15% speed boost and 20% jump height bonus.
Yes, it is real. Yes, it is real. I keep wanting to say this video is bait. Like, I'm not even mad anymore. I'm just blown away. I am blown away by this.
While equipped, which kind of fits with the name because it's like the medic is taking drugs. The Blutsauger
The overdose rewards you for staying alive and building Uber to the point where if you have enough Uber, you can escape, hopefully escape, alive. It is a risk versus reward weapon. It rewards you for not being shit at the game. The overdose is fine. You don't need to change it into whatever the fuck you just described. Fuck!
gets a simple change. Killing enemies makes them drop a small health pack in addition to its normal stats.
Why? No! Stop it!
Naturally into the next change, the Vita Saw. Let's just be real, this thing is so stupid. You can hit an enemy to preserve 15% of your Uber charge on death, but why would you do that if you could just equip the Uber Saw and get
I agree, the Vita Saw sucks. But what does he suggest?
a 25% boost in your Uber immediately? It's encouraging the medic to make risky melee plays, but instead of rewarding him with extra survivability like the Uber Saw does, it just makes dying a little bit less punishing. But you're way less likely to die in the first place if you just stay back with your medigun instead of running in with the Vita Saw. It's totally counterintuitive, so I'm changing it completely. It gets a minus 20% firing speed just like with the Uber Saw, but instead of gaining Uber on hit, you gain health on kill. A good bit of health too.
Why would you just make it into the Have Satoichi for Medic? Yeah. You get a random crit, you get all your health back. Medic isn't punished anymore for getting caught out alone. No. Really busted. Way too strong. Medic should not be able to do that. Vita Saw needs a change. Don't let him recover 100 health on kill. Bad idea. We see that with the Have Satoichi on Demo Night. We don't need to have that on Medic. No.
A whopping 100. And it can overheal you too, like the old kunai. In combination with the Blutsauger, I think we'll finally have a truly interesting battle medic subclass.
I think this guy wants to play a different game. I don't think he wants to play TF2 anymore. He wants something else entirely. I recommend other things. Not TF2. He needs to do something different. Not this. He's wanting different classes. He's wanting different stuff. You don't want TF2 anymore. You know what? I'm happy this is inside of his own server. I'm happy it's inside. He's having fun. He can do his own thing. This should not be in the base game. Absolutely not.
But I don't think that will be the Vitasaw's only purpose. In combination with the Overdose, you could run in quick, nab some overheal off a weak target, and switch back to the Overdose to
Medic should not be a combat class. He is the healing class. That is not, no.
back up on out of there. The same maneuver that you might do with the Ubersaw, but for a very different result. Buffed. And so that's pretty much it. I tried fixing some of TF2's crappiest items. And I know you might be
I don't want to watch the rest of it.